Hello, hello.
Yeah. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, dude. What's up? Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah, loud and clear. Sorry about a little bit of tardiness there.
Oh,
We
you're all
are
good.
all good to go.
You're no worries, dude. You could have started 10 minutes later and I'd have been like chilling, just playing WoW or some shit. It's totally
Sweet.
fine.
So, um, do I watch your screen on Discord or on Twitch or something, or
So,
how does it?
we have a lot of options. It's just really whatever you feel like makes it your life easy. And the way it works
Okay.
is if you want to watch me on Discord, or if you just give me the replay and I do it myself and I share my screen with you on Discord, you can actually
Okay.
see my mouse movements. So if I'm targeting something and being like, so this needs to be there or something like that, then you actually get to see a reference of what I mean.
Okay,
Um,
that'd be best.
yeah, it just makes it easier. Uh, so so I assume that means you have replays ready to go, which is totally cool. Uh,
Yes, I think I emailed them to you. Let me.
okay. I can check it. I can go through it and check my email. If you have quick access to them as well, you could just drop them in the Discord chat as well. But I'll probably be able to find them pretty quick as well myself. And I found our email. Looking through your messages. Okay, I already got them. I got them.
Okay.
So there's two replays. There's Vibe Coach Replay 1 better and Vibe Coach Replay 1 and there's no better on it. Which one would you rather us start on?
The one that does not say better.
Okay. All right, and then I will pop this bad boy up. I'll share my screen with you on Discord on StarCraft. And I guess I know we're jumping. Okay, so is this silver or is this gold or what league are you actually residing in at the moment?
In this replay, I was in Plat 3. Now I'm in Plat 2.
Okay, cool. So we've got some platinum action going on.
Oh yeah.
And you are which one of these names is? Are you the big banana, or are you
No, I'm
Skaboodle?
Skaboodle Doo. Yeah.
Okay,
I'm a
sounds
big
good.
fan of Ned Flanders.
Nice, dude. All right, so fuck yeah. Is there any before I just kind of like jump into this head on? Is there anything you have just a quick question about, or anything you want to ask before?
Um, Not really. I mean, it's just I figured I'd hit you up because ZVZ, like my race report, 60% win against Protoss, 50-50 for Terran, and 40% against Zerg, and I
Okay,
literally play nothing but Zerg.
sure.
And it's like, it's so bad most of the time. Like I can handle a Ling Flood, but I'm more of like a defensive macro player, and it just seems like I just, if I go mutas, they go hydras, and if I go hydras, they go mutas, run them around. So it's just like, oh God, I need to call somebody. I need
Sure,
some
sounds
professional
good.
help.
No, it makes sense. Okay, I have last question I have for you before we start, just so I know, I have an idea what I'll be expecting more or less. Is are you more of a freestyle player or someone who does your own thing, or are you someone who's like following a system like let's say like BetaGM or something?
Um, I would say 60-40 more towards following B to GM.
Okay. So I'll just be pretty lenient with like not expecting you to follow BetaGM to the T, and I'll give you ideas on how to like do what you're doing in a way that could make sense and stuff like that. But yeah, let's check out what's going on. Let's see what you're doing. Okay, so uh, Overlord moved out. I would say Overlord was. This is something that's I'm gonna explain a concept in ZVZ here really fast. It's actually kind of crazy how important it is. So when the game starts, you definitely want to make sure that you have a sequence every single time. And this will only help you in the long run if you do this. And it's super easy once you get used to it. But essentially, there's 3 steps, and you only need to follow 2 of them realistically. The third one's more advanced, and it's optional. But what it is, step 1 is obviously making a drone. Always make sure the first thing you do every single game is make a drone, just because you want to make sure that larva gets going like right away, because you start the process of generating larva the faster you make your first drone. After that, move that overlord towards the top right side of the map. You can click like a hectic guy. It doesn't matter where you click, just somewhere in the top right region, because you can always come back and fix it in a second and make it more precise. You just want it like you can even move in the top right of your base. Like so for instance, you see my mouse. If you clicked it like
Yeah.
right there, would be totally fine.
Okay.
Just because you want to get him moving that direction as fast as possible. And the reason why is because the faster this dude is moving towards this location, the faster you can actually analyze what kind of an opener he did to you. and this can tell you, oh, I need to make lings, or oh, I need to make, I can make drones or whatever. So you really want to get to that natural ASAP, but it should not be the first thing you do. It should definitely be the second thing you do after making a drone. And then the third optional thing, this is something I wouldn't recommend you don't have to do it all the time when you're, like, let's say in platinum or gold or whatever. But as you grow as a player and you start to feel confident that you can nail out the drone and the overlord movement within like 1 second of the game starting, start trying to also then come back, and step 3 would be grabbing your drones and splitting them on the mineral patches if you're feeling confident to do that, and that's totally fine too. If you actually practice that as well, it'll only increase your mouse micro, your precision, because if you can go boom boom, if you can go like boom 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 boom, like, you know, like a few clicks all together simultaneously in the first like 2 seconds of the game, you're gonna definitely have some some mouse accuracy type things going on there. That's gonna help you just only in the future as well with your precision. So anyways, the only reason why I say this is because your larva started really early, which was nice, but your overlord sat there for a while. Your overlord sat there for 5 seconds, and that I mean, that's not the end of the world. But just make sure that every second that goes by that you're not scouting, it will kind of fuck you over. Just because it'll make your scout lopsided, and it'll make it harder to tell what the Zerg is doing. Just because it does throw off your scouting a little bit the later the overlord goes over there. Otherwise, things are going well. For the most. Okay, hold on. Now this is another thing too, right here. So I imagine, you know, maybe you got distracted or something. I don't know. But right now it's a double overlord. I obviously don't think this is intentional. This is. Yeah. Yeah, like no, it's totally fine. I would just say the biggest thing I would say though is, despite the fact that it's double overlord, I'm not going to beat you over the head by being like, so you're not supposed to double overlord. I know you know that, but
no, I rarely do.
Yeah.
Usually it's drone overlord, drone hatch.
The thing I would say though is you waited a long time after making your overlord to do anything with your egg. That's the thing I would see as a problem point for you, because what that makes me think is that you don't do enough of what I say in Beta Gym a lot, which is 5SD, 5SD, 5SD. Like, you just fucking need to spam it. Like, basically the reason why it's so important to spam it is because it needs to be something that you do without even thinking about it. Like, it just needs to be so repetitious for you that as soon as you get within like right, for instance, like right now you have enough to make a drone, right? So if you're not making a drone within 1-2 seconds of you having enough money, it means you're not hitting 5SD, 5SD. And it's something that it takes like no effort on your fingers to do it. Unless, I don't know if you're like, some people are like, my fucking hands hurt, bro, relax.
No,
but if you're totally fine, just doing it should be something that, again, if you don't think about it and you just hit it, even though you know you can't do it, and it's like, not enough minerals, not enough minerals, not enough minerals, and then suddenly not enough minerals, not enough minerals. But there was a pause there, and it's like, oh, it looks like we had enough minerals one of these times. It's just gonna help you in the future if you do it like at least once a second. Like, I'm not gonna lie, when I'm playing StarCraft, I will hit 5SD like 5 times a second. I'll be like, spam, 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 spam. Just because that's just what the automation is for me. Like, and I don't even think I'm doing it. I don't even know I'm doing it. It's because I've done it so much that it's literally like I always explain it like this. Like, it's like breathing to me. It's like an automated reflex. So that will help you in the future, because if you don't do this, I can already imagine. This is why this is a big deal. I already know, as we go on here, I'm going to probably watch you larva cap a lot, which means you're not going to be spinning your larva. And I'm going to watch you probably supply block multiple times, because you're not having automated macro systems yet for yourself. If things like this happen where your money never gets spent after, you know, like when you're ready to do it. And then,
you know, now that you say that, there was a ZVZ replay I was watching yesterday that I didn't send to you, and I lost. And I'm looking at the mineral count, and the whole time I'm sitting there, 1,000 minerals, 1,500 minerals, and
yeah,
the guy just steamrolled me. So
that's like the key to getting better at macro, because this is the difference. This is 100% the difference between a lower level player trying to play StarCraft and a higher level player trying to play StarCraft. So a lower level player will go like this. All right, I'm doing my build, I'm doing my build, I'm doing my build. Okay, I'm looking at his build, I'm looking at his build, I'm looking at his build, I'm looking at his build. Okay, I'm going back to now doing my build, but I'm like, I missed the last 30 seconds, so now I gotta catch up. Okay, macro hatch maybe, to spend my money properly. Okay, I'm now looking at his build. Like, it's just one or the other. It's literally always your or him, you or him, you or him. And then every time you look at your opponent's build, you just never do anything with yours. But a high-level player will always think, what is my opponent doing? What are they doing? I'm going to check them out. I'm going to check them out. What are they doing? They only think about their opponent's build, really. And the reason why is because their build is fucking automated. It's 100% automated, and they just do it without even using their brain. Because they literally make their muscle memory in their hands go d-d-d-d-d-d-d-d-d-d. Like, it literally is just muscle memory. So it's definitely something that if you just put more effort into your hands rather than in your brain, it'll make the game way easier for you. Like, just try to make it more automated for yourself, and it definitely helps. Alright, so going forward, so I mean that'll definitely throw you, the second overlord will throw you off your hatchery and shit like that. It could definitely mess things up if you get like 12 pools or something. But I like your second overlord. So I would say this overlord, if you do this in all matchups, it would make more sense. But even then, I still wouldn't really like it that much. And this is why. The way you've moved overlord number 2 is this dude is going to be out of here by the time your hatchery's only like right there. Like somewhere in that region of production. And that means there's still a ton of time against like Protoss and Terran where there could be potential proxies that you wouldn't see. So if you want to make something automated for yourself where you're like, okay, Vibe, I don't want to always come back and like wait for the hatchery to be like right here and then move it out. I don't want to, I don't always time it perfectly like that. And I need more of a, you know, an easier thing to do. I would say you could do what you just did like this against Protoss and Terran, where you move your final spot there. This is not good to do against Zerg. You don't ever want to go to the open air space against Zerg. But in general, if you want to do something like this in all matchups, you could do something like this. The exact thing you've done, but do this first. Go move here, then shift command one move back to like right here, and then shift move command right again like right there, and then do the rest of your sequence. That would actually make a lot more sense for you. And the reason why is because this overlord going there, then back there, and then back there is like a waste of about 30 seconds, which would be the difference of the hatchery being like right there to it now being like right there. So that would mean that you don't have any blind time, because like, well, this is what I mean. Like if you speed it up now, you see what I mean? It's right there and now you're blind. And so now as the overlord leaves, if there were to be any proxies, a proxy building takes about 30 seconds to build, like a bunker or something like that. And if that was happening to you right now, and let's say right as you left, the things were coming down to get you, that's a normal timing for a proxy, you would be fucked essentially. So this is just something that I feel like could be you know, removing a future problem for you for like all matchups. But again, against Zerg specifically, you definitely want to make sure this is a key trick about overlords in ZVZ. You want to make sure that you have vision of this choke point at all times. And if you ever have to back up, you need to be able to have vision of every future choke point. So imagine that like this base is full of water or something, and then water were to like rush down the ramp, and then it were to pour out here. And let's say it's going in every direction. It means it's going to go this way. It means it's going to go this way right here, down to the bottom left. And it means it's also going to go this way. So if you can leave an overlord here first to make sure you spot this, then that's great. You see everything. But as soon as this hatchery is done, if creep spreads to like right here with this hatchery being done, then your overlord suddenly being like right in this location is very compromised if a queen goes forward and kills it. So then it means you most likely have to back up from like right here to maybe like right here or something, like getting out of there. But then if you do that, suddenly this is blind and this is blind. So what you really would need to do is in this map particularly, because there are 3 like spiderweb locations that he can go to, you know, like from the way the map is designed, you could start with 1 and turn it into 3. So overlord number 2 should, I would say this would be what I would say. Overlord number 1 should be coming to like right here. And then you could back it up to like right here. That'd be totally fine. Overlord 2 should be going up to like right here, and then could back up to like right here once there's a base there. And then Overlord 3 should be coming to like right here just by default, because Overlord 1 and 2 have already scouted deeper in and you already know what's going on there. And this Overlord, by the time it gets there, there'd already be a lot of shit going on over here. So it would be safe, but it would also scout this entire exit of his base. This way you can't be like randomly flooded by a bunch of lings in a fog of war. So, And then this is pretty huge too, that, you know, you see that. And this is why this is so important. This is why now we're going back and talking about your initial scout from like the very first second of the game. Because this is so relevant. This is so fucking relevant to know, okay, how far along is his hatchery as opposed to how far along is my hatchery? Yours is done. His is a little bit more than halfway. And your hatchery, we got to think about this. Your hatchery was also a little bit later than it should have been because you went triple overlord before hatchery. So your hatchery should already be done, and his is still where it is. And you want to know what this means? It means he went pool first. Yeah, exactly. He definitely has a pool done. This dude could easily have gone pool before hatchery. And if that's the case, this dude's going to be fucking aggressive. Like, you should be, I would automatically, right now, be like, if I was watching you play ZVZ, and your intentions are not to go for like a really early attack and you're not going to flood lings right now, I would honestly tell you, bro, make a fucking spine right now. Because this guy is most likely going to do a speed link timing to you. And this is a humongous tell that that's what it's going to be based off of that. Nobody does this unless they have intentions to attack early. It's no, like this. What I mean by that is if this guy is gonna go, oh, I'm just gonna macro. It's not as good as going hatchery first at all. It's a lot worse than going just hatch first and then getting a pool, because if you go hatch first and then pool, the pool and hatch finish at the same time, and you get 2 queens simultaneously going at the same time. But this is way less larva to work with for a little bit of time. So this is humongous right here. And now that you see this overlord, the last thing it should do too is get out of there. It should definitely be staying like right here, like for shit like that you just saw. You can spot lings as they start leaving his base. So you're not going to be having a problem with going like, because right now I would be so scared if I were you by not knowing if he's already flooding me. Because you just saw 4 and now you're blind. So for all you know, 20 lings could show up. And this is obviously only 4, and he also made a spine in your base, which is super awkward. The spine is not that threatening, I'm not going to lie. I would say do not engage this spine. You could definitely also cancel that roach horn and build it somewhere else. But this spine is not threatening. The reason why is because it's out of range of your hatchery and it's out of range of your drones. And if you wait for a spine to uproot and then reroot again somewhere else, it's so easy to fuck it over. Because you could kill it while it's trying to root, essentially, and it's problem solved.
So it would be better to lose an overlord to a queen, or like to lose the overlord that's scouting the natural to a queen because it can't run away fast enough, just to get the information from scouting.
Well, okay, so what I mean is don't leave your overlord like right here, or like don't put it like right there or something. Like you can literally scout the hatchery timing like back like when you did this, for instance. I'll show you exactly what I mean. So the second you saw that you already don't need, this is it. That's like, you don't need to watch it continuously build because there's no difference. There's not like a chrono boost for building time or something like that. You can't make the building faster than normal. It is what it is. So now that you know it's a pool first, I would say move this dude back to like right here.
Oh, okay.
And then that way you can spot the ramp or the choke point of the exit, and there's no way you're gonna have fog of war on either side. And then you could watch, like it would just be permanent vision like this that would always see, okay, lings are crossing. And then you'd be like, lings are crossing. And then nothing else yet. And then lings are crossing. Lings are crossing. And now every single time you see lings crossing, it's just, okay, yeah, he's being more and more and more and more aggressive because every ling he makes is not a drone, right? Because you can't make lings and drones. It's not like you have infinity larva. You have to make choices. So that's huge information for you to know. Every single time you see more lings cross, that is less macro from your opponent and more aggressive from your opponent. And like that's why I also said if let's just say you had a spine, I would say if you had a spine and you had queen, there's quite a lot that queen spine can do versus just some lings. Now if you saw, for instance, if you see waves of lings cross, like let's say you see like 10 at a time cross because he just has like a big inject pop and like all the lings come out with it, and it's like humongous waves come, not just two like automated larva. That would be more maybe like, okay, well now I need to think about a way to deal with this that's going to be dealing with bigger numbers of lings, like a bigger swell of lings. But if it's just two, it's not going to be that intimidating. Like a spine and a queen could one-shot that together basically. Not exactly, but if you had 2 queens and a spine, they could one-shot it together because A spine does 25 damage and a queen does 8, but a ling has 35, so it's 33 below 35. Don't want to make it sound too confusing, but basically here's a big thing I would say. Okay, this is what I would say. Here's an easy way to deal with someone who plays like this. That would allow you to do like a beta GM style where you can still make drones and then eventually work your way up to roaches and then go into like +1 speed roaches. What you could do is you could make your roach horn not there, make it right there, and then make an evo chamber, one off so you can have a doorway, and then make another evo chamber to seal it off. And you could have roach evo, and then you could put a spine and a queen at the doorway. Like, your queen could be in the door on hold position, and your spine could be against the wall of the evo or something like that, and then in like the middle of the wall, but not in the door. You don't want to actually wall with the spine. You want to have it like behind the wall because the queen is in the door, and you want to have your doorway be. The reason why you don't want a spine in the door is because if this guy goes Banes, a spine's gonna die so fucking fast, and you don't know if he's gonna go Bane. Like, this does not mean any. Like the hatchery that you saw does not mean that he's not stopping gas mining. You have no idea. Like, he still could be going for Banes if he chooses to, and it's not a big deal if he does. It's totally fine. But if you just had a wall here, it would make this so easy to deal with. And then you also don't really have to make any lings. The only reason why at all I would say you need to make lings this game is because this guy actually put a spine in your base of his own. So that means you need to make lings because that's going to be like one queen is not going to beat a spine crawler. You have to make some lings to stop that now. But up to this point so far, how you feeling with everything we talked about?
Pretty good, pretty good. I watched a video a couple weeks ago on defending the ling floods, and just I think it was yesterday I got this guy tried to just lambaste me with lings, and I built the kind of wall you're talking about. So I was putting the spine in the door, and at least when he was flooding me with lings, so I'll make sure to like not do that anymore. But yeah, I don't actually remember what went wrong in this game. Like at the end.
It's all good. I would just say the big thing I would say for you already though is like your opponent is kind of fucking himself over in my opinion by being so awkwardly aggressive. Like, he's investing a lot into this. You can see you're already ahead by 6 drones right now. However, you have 4 larvae sitting there, and you also have an inject that is popping off in a moment here, which means again there's no automation here. These larvae being here means you are being distracted and you're not macroing. You're not spinning your larva. Because you have enough money to do it, right? So that's why I say it's so important to like make it muscle memory. That way this allows you to start multitasking when you have to start adding in micro into the game as well. So you could be even further ahead than you are already, but you're still ahead, which is still nice. But you could be. The biggest thing I always want people to understand is it's not about being ahead of your opponent. It's about being ahead of where you could be if you were playing efficient. Because the game is based off of the clock, whether you're playing good or not. It's not based off of your opponent's skill level. Because if you beat a player who's not very good, even though you won, it doesn't mean necessarily you're playing better than you were before. You might actually beat a guy who's not good and then lose to a guy who's better, and then you think in your mind, oh, I played better because of the game that I won, right? Because I won the game, even though you actually played better the game you lost, because the opponent's skill level was actually way better than the one that you lost. Yeah, anyways, macroing definitely super important here. Definitely need to make sure you're pumping these boys out. And now, like you can see right now, you have 7 larvae now. After that inject pops off, now you're going to have even more in a second. So now this is starting to become a bigger problem for you. And it's something that if the longer it takes to deal with, the more you're probably going to panic react to it. And then you're going to make way too much of something. Like, you're going to probably spend all your larvae into lings. And then it could start getting, and then the roachborn dies as well, which is brutal for you. And now your queens are dying because it's late. Drones are being pulled. So this is starting to become a massive hiccup for your economy. Yeah, another queen dies. At least you have another queen in production, though, to fix the problem here. But now if we go back and check out your position in the game, I mean, you're still actually overall in a decent spot. And the fact that you have these queens being replaced pretty early is definitely good for you. Now you have 12 lings. And now I'm imagining that you're probably also feeling a bit like, oh god, okay, fuck. Like, we just dealt with that shit. Now what's going to happen next? And the reason why this is so scary for you again is because you're playing this, again, kind of like it's a Terran or a Protoss player, where you're afraid of, like, Marines or Stalkers killing your Overlords. because right now, again, this is the scariest thing of all in ZVZ, is you have no information of this guy leaving his base and going all the way down the map to your base until he's right there. So you have no idea if you need to make lings or if you need to make drones right now. But the beautiful thing about having a wall here is even if he does make lings, you could. This is something that a lot of people might not understand. But let me throw this out there. This is very real. If you don't have a wall here, and let's say you have 2 queens, or yeah, okay, 2 queens, and like 12 lings that you have here right now, you could actually, without a wall, you could probably take on. I would say maybe like 18 or no, more like 20 lings. Like the 12 lings would cancel out 12 lings of your opponent, and your queens could probably take on anywhere between like 6 to 8 lings by themselves, like realistically, and then they would be able to help a lot during the fight. But that's about what you could take. Is like this, what you have right now could actually fight probably 18 to 20 lings, and you have a realistic chance to like equalize the fight. But if you had a wall here, and there was a queen in the doorway, and then maybe like a second queen to back it up, those 2 queens alone could take on like 18 lings. Because the reason why is because surface area gets so limited, and he doesn't have 18 lings having 18 lings worth of uptime of DPS. He only has like 1 at a time, and the other 17 are idiots running around in circles being like, we can't do anything. And even if they attack your wall, and the time it would take for your like an Evo chamber to die, all the lings would also die. Like an Evo chamber is surprisingly tanky, and even when it does die, it spawns broodlings, which then create like, it's like artificial zerglings for you, and like 6 of them spawn. So you have like a broodling is very similar to zergling stats. Like it does 1 less damage and it has 5 less hit points. It's very, very close to it, and it also attacks faster than a zergling. So it's very similar to what a zergling has in terms of like 1 broodling can basically cancel out 1 zergling. So it's like every time a building dies, it spawns 6 zerglings for you for a temporary amount of time. So it's super fucking effective. And then if you add, let's say you added in a spine crawler like we talked about earlier. If you had a queen in the door and a spine and like a second queen backing it up, you could now take on probably like 30 lings with that. Just with those things. And that means that's 15, like 30 lings is 15 larvae, because it's 2 lings per larva. And that's like 15 drones you could just make instead to get ready for roaches. And then once you have roaches, obviously you can just make roaches and then you're good to go. So a wall is so fucking good against Zerg. It's like mandatory. If you're gonna do this, like a build that goes into like roaches, it's mandatory to wall off the front of your base with it. The only build ever that makes sense to not roach war in the front of your base with in ZVZ is if you're gonna build it like back here where your pool is, because you're about to do a roach ling all in really early. Like you're just gonna do a roach all in essentially, and you're gonna hope to kill your opponent within the first like 4 minutes of the game or the first 5 minutes of the game. But if you're not all inning, roach war in the front of your base every time if you're gonna macro. That way you can have a wall. Okay, and then now you're having to. All right, what's up, sir?
Should we switch to the? I think 2:30 we are at. So should we switch to the other replay? I named it better for a reason. I can't think of what the reason was.
That's fine. We can switch. I mean, this is why I say like you can even have 1 replay. I could talk about this. I'm not even kidding. I could talk about this replay for the next 3 hours, because there's so much shit to talk about in StarCraft. But we can bounce to it right now. I don't mind. But right there, what I just saw, a lot of what just happened there was there's a lot of automation that needs to happen that's not happening for you. There's just not enough of it, and it's slowing down everything you're doing like crazy.
Right. So build a wall, 5 SD a lot more. Obviously no double. I don't have any idea why I did that, but to build a wall.
And make sure you're definitely big time in ZVZ. Make sure your scouting is not missing the beat there. Your scouting was definitely lacking, because the thing about ZVZ, let me tell you, this is a rule of ZVZ. Also, before I say it, I know that there's going to be a lot of things that I'm going to say. I'm going to have like my mouth or my voice is going to be like, it's going to be like a just constant, and you're going to be like, okay, fucking, he's telling me another thing, I'm forgetting some of this shit, possibly. If that happens, it's not a big deal. I'm going to send you the VOD of this afterwards by probably like tomorrow. So you'll have access to rewatch this over and over and over and over. And you might watch this VOD of this coaching lesson 10 times and learn something new every time, because you're like, oh yeah, I didn't realize he said that. Like and the higher level your skill gets, the more you'll appreciate different pieces of information possibly. That's how it works for some people. So you'll be able to watch it a lot. So if I talk a lot and some of it goes in one ear out the other, it's totally fine. You'll be able to hear it again. But here's another rule of Zerg, okay? In ZVZ, when you're macroing, Well, if you're all-inning, you're all-inning, right? You just fucking all in and you're going to try to kill your opponent. But if you are macroing in ZVZ, it is not a guessing game. It is supposed to be a reactionary game, and the only way you can play a reactionary game is if you give yourself enough information on their side of the map, like, for instance, having that, like, having the water spill out of the base and you have overlords checking every angle, that concept. Every time you see units cross, you guesstimate a response to that by making what crosses, essentially. So, like, if you see a flood of lings coming across, like, if you scout something that looks like, oh, yeah, it's aggressive, it's going to be aggressive, you're already anticipating, so you can do something to cost efficiently deal with it. Like, for instance, like I said, like, you can make a spine, because you're like, this guy's going to speed link flood me. And then if your opponent, let's say your opponent doesn't, and he goes for a hatchery first, and he's like, okay, it looks just like my build does. But now let's say your opponent is going for, he didn't make drones, and now he's got 20 lings that cross. So, like, his first inject and all of his larvae going up to that inject was all Zerglings, and then he pulls up about 20 lings and he just goes. And right now you have 2 lings. Well, you have time to go, oh, he's crossing my overlord and he's going down the map, and I'm making lings as responses right now. And as he's still crossing the map, I'm just making lings. And then by the time the Zerg gets to, like, your base, essentially, you can now be like, all right, I'm going to put my queen in the mineral line. I'm going to give myself minimal surface area to get killed. I'm going to now also have, like, my lings right there or whatever. Like, I'm just going to, like, do something that's going to give me a little bit of time to react. And then the Zerglings show up in your base, and all your eggs of your lings that you made as a response to this are all only going to take, like, 3 more seconds to spawn. So his lings get on top of the queen, like, right here. They're getting stuck in the area trying to fight this queen, but the queen is not just standing right there in the middle of nowhere. You put it in an area where lings can't surround it anymore, or there or something. Because you can easily do, if the queen's injecting the hatchery or something like that, it can easily move to a mineral patch. And, like, don't just move it, like, right there, because it's going to get surrounded still. If you move it, like, right here, lings will get stupid as fuck in this area and be like, we can't surround it because we can't attack mineral patches. And then your lings spawn because you responded to the reaction of it, and then you made a round of lings to deal with this. And this is why I say it's not a guessing game. It's not about putting your queen here and then lings fighting lings, and then you're just making lings because you're panicking. You always keep an eye on the minimap, and you watch if more lings flood out of his base repeatedly while he's making his first set run to you. So if you have an overlord, like, right here, right here, right here, and you're, like, watching lings flood down, and then let's say as he's crossing this, and then they have another overlord, like, right here by this point, like your 4th overlord's chilling there or something, so it gives a little bit of vision in front of your base. And let's say right now, all these lings, you see them crossing the ramp right here, and they're coming into your base right now. And as he's crossing right here, another 10 lings cross right here. Because you see it on the minimap. Like, again, you don't have to stare at it. What you can do is you can actually get good at minimap recognition to look at what a speedling looks like on the minimap. And the way you can tell what a speedling is on the minimap is you can tell how fast the dot moves. It's pretty fucking fast compared to everything else. And then you can also tell how big the blob is by how many he's made. You don't have to be perfect. You just got to guesstimate. That's a lot. This guy is fully committed. So what should I be doing? Fully committed responses. The reason why this is how you're supposed to play macro is because if you respond like this, you're going to always have the shit. It's called, the concept is defender's advantage. You're going to always have the units defensively by the time he gets to your base. And then the difference is if he makes them first and you make them second, you're going to have drones before he does. So you're going to have a bigger bank account to work with. Because you're just going to have, it'll be like a situation where you have 25 drones. He's got 17. And then you're making lings to respond to him. And by the time he gets to your base, you have lings too. And then you also have queens too. And you have surface area. And you can even pull your drones if you need to help a little bit and stuff like that. That's the idea of what you want to be doing. And if you're not doing that, that is what needs to be practiced. Because that is the only way you're going to go higher. Because once you start having diamond level opponents as your average opponent, which is once you get to like plat 1, you're gonna obviously the only way you're gonna get promoted is if you can start beating diamond 3 players, because you will play them a lot. This is gonna be a concept you have to like live by. You have to do this in ZVZ to make it work. Yo, thank you for the raid disc. All right, so we'll go and get this going now. Go check out what's going on here. But another thing too, to make sure that you're feeling good about things, is early game sets the pace for late game in every game of StarCraft 2. You can never have a weak early game and then have a good late game. It doesn't exist. You have to have a good early game to even have a potential good late game, because it's like a sequence. So the better your early game is, the more likely you're gonna have a stronger late game. Like you could literally have a late game that is like 2 IQ, and you just fucking A move your opponent and go, I don't know what I'm doing. But if your early game is good, you still have a good late game. Like that's how this game actually is. And obviously, if your late game is even better, and your late game is actually 200 IQ, well, then it's gonna be even better. Okay, so your build is fine. I don't mind it. It's like a hatch gas pool. Timings are totally fine. They look like a 16, 17, 16 build type thing, and that's not a big deal. I don't mind it. I would say perfect build, in my opinion, would be 16, 18, 17, but your build was like pretty much right there anyways.
So 16 pool, 18 gas, 17.
16 hatch, 18. Yeah, I know what you mean. You just said pool first, but yeah, it's 16 hatch, 18 gas, 17 pool. I would say that's like perfect standard build for if you want to play a speedling style. So just know, this is a big thing to know too. If you're going to play B2GM style, be very specific on the opener I give you in B2GM, which is 16 hatch, 18 pool, 20 gas. That's very specific to a roach build that is going to be not making lings, and it's going to wall off and shit like that, and like you're going to make roaches fast with like layer and stuff like that. But if you're going to go for a speedling build, then you can do something like 16 hatch, 18 gas, 17 pool. And the difference is, this is the big difference. You're getting a hatch before a pool, or sorry, you're getting a gas before a pool, or with the B2GM style, you're getting a pool before a gas. Because you don't need speed, so you don't need early gas with B2GM. You don't even get Zergling speed with B2GM until you're like in the diamond videos. But if you're doing diamond B2GM stuff, then I do 16 hatch, 18 gas, 17 pool a lot in ZVZ. So your opener definitely is important. So the biggest point I'm trying to make here is if you're gonna do like the roach wall off thing, just don't be taking gas as fast because it'll fuck you over. It'll kind of like ruin your economy. All right, so this is another moment here with automation, right? Like this is a big problem for you. It's not just you; it's everybody. This is the problem of why people get stuck in platinum. This is if someone tells you at high level, they're like, oh, just macro. This is exactly what they're talking about. And to elaborate, if your larva ever caps out like this, it means you're not actually macroing for large amounts of time. And if you're not doing that and you're larva capping repeatedly, you're developing bad habits that already show a player who does cycle macro really quickly. It means that you are not going to do things like make overlords on time. You're not going to make drones on time. You're going to larva cap and you're not going to have larva generate anymore. Your build is going to progressively, like if there was a clock with a red, like a number in red above your hatchery that was like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, just started counting up, and it was like time that your build is falling behind. Shit like this is going to be like, well, your build is already behind by 8 seconds and counting. It adds up really fucking fast. Okay, and then now you make 6 Zerglings. So this is, I would say, a bit intense. And now you're making a Bane Nest. So I'm telling you right now, if I were watching this build, the only way this build would make sense is if you're going to all-in him. And the reason why is because you're going for a Bane Nest before Zergling speed. And you're also doing it with capped out drones on gas. So if you were really, really paranoid and you're like, I'm not dying to Zerglings anymore. I'm going to make a Bane Nest so I can have Banelings to guard myself while I'm really greedy with drones. That's fine. That is a concept that can work. But I would say a concept that would work better than that and is more economically efficient is if you just wall off the natural. Like, again, the thing we talked about before. So this is pretty intense. Because it takes a lot of upkeep to maintain this with like Banelings being made repeatedly. Because you're going to need them to otherwise use the building. And if you're going to do this as a really early aggressive maneuver with like your first 6 lings you make, this is very invested. And if it fails, and the way it can fail is if your opponent just makes queens and puts them right there. This doesn't work anymore. So, and if like they have an overlord watching Banelings waddle their asses in there. So this is kind of scary for you, right? So we'll see what you do with this, but this is already really intense on your economy to do this because you're ripping it off the mineral line. So you're undersaturating yourself again, and you're maintaining gas with a really heavy invested structure early on. Like it's going to take a lot to maintain that properly if you're going to utilize that building. And now your lings are all popping out, and then you're starting to make drones again afterwards, or one at least. Another thing too is keep in mind as well, your overlord needs to get the fuck out of there, and the reason why is because if check this out. We'll go back and talk about one more concept again. This is a humongous thing you need to start doing in ZVZ. So you get to his base, right? And you go like this. Cool. Hatch first. How do I know that? Hatch first. Now, your hatch went down. Your hatch is finished like slightly faster than his. And you want to know what I could already... If I went back and I watched this replay and I was like, okay, what does this mean? There's a very good chance that this guy just went for a 17 hatch and you went for a 16 hatch. Because his hatch is so fucking close to yours, but it's not quite the same thing. So if you went 16 hatch and yours is already done and he went 17 hatch, it would mean that his hatch is behind by probably like 5 seconds. And that's roughly what we're looking at here, right? It's like about, it's actually 7 seconds, but yeah, it's pretty much the same shit. So I would already imagine he went for a 17 hatch, or he just maybe forgot to pull a drone off and he put the hatchery down at like 370 minerals. He's like, whoops, mistake. People make mistakes, it happens. Especially in lower leagues. At higher leagues, it kind of doesn't happen anymore because everyone kind of pristines their build. But yeah, anyways, the point I'm trying to make here is his queens are going to be on par with your queens. And if your overlord is chilling in his base by right about now, this overlord's going to die. Because like if there was an overlord right here for you, what would happen? Your queen would pop out, and you'd be like, hey, queen, go kill it. Hey, queen, if he goes this way, kill it as well. If he keeps going this way, this queen has so much fucking time to kill the overlord as it tries to go this way. And it would just die before it gets over here. 100% guaranteed. So your overlord is looking like it's about to die, essentially. And it's not necessary for it to die. There was nothing you saw that you needed to see out of what just happened there. Like, think about it like this, okay? In ZVZ, this already tells you what his build is for the default as to what it's going to be. And the best way to follow up scout a Zerg player, if you're like, well, Vibe, what if he went fucking roaches though? Or what if he went for a Bane Nest? Like, what if he did blah, blah, blah? I would say the best thing you can do is, again, watch the exit of his base. So you go, okay, I have an overlord like right here now. And that overlord is spotting for everything that comes down the ramp. And then if he spreads a creep tumor, and now he gets creeped this way, and the overlord is compromised in this area, I can now move this overlord back to, let's say, like right there. And then I can see everything in this area that comes out. But now that means I can't see anything coming this way, so you can have a second overlord chilling like right over here. So you can see everything that comes out of his base on both sides. And then, obviously, every time you have to back your overlords up, and it creates new exits, like let's say he's got a creep tumor there now. And you're like, okay, well now I got to back up to like right there. But now that means this is all a compromise. A new overlord needs to be like right there. So you can see everything coming this way. So you need to always have exits covered. So it's not random when he attacks you. And if he does attack you with anything, if it's roaches, you could, if you're like, holy shit, that is like, I only have 24 drones. And this dude apparently went roach warren before pool. And I didn't realize. And he's like making the fastest roaches ever off of like 16 drones. And he's got like 5 roaches waddling their asses to my base right now. If you saw roaches leaving his base, you could literally start like 3 spines or 2 spines. And by the time the roaches got to your ramp, the spines would be done. And then if it's not that, and if it's mass ling flood, and even if it turns into banelings, again, if you had a wall, it wouldn't be a problem either. You would be fine. You could have like a wall with queens, and you could even start a spine if you needed to or whatever. Or you could make your own lings and banes as well, and you'd be fine. Like, if your build... The point I'm trying to make here is... This is the biggest point I'm trying to make. If you see your opponent's going hatch first, just like you are, he cannot go pool gas first, okay? He can't do that. It's like there's going to be discrepancies in the hatchery timing if this guy goes pool first. And that's why it's important to know that. That's why your Overlord Scout is so huge, like I talked about in the very start of the game. And if you go for, let's say, Speedlings into Banelings, you will not have an opponent who has like 8 Banelings morphing right here. And you're like, bro, what the fuck? I haven't even started my Bane Nest. Because if your build is proper and you get Zergling speed, and then you leave 3 on gas, and then you start a Baneling Nest, and let's say as you start a Bane Nest, you take one of these drones off gas, so you go to 2 out of 3 on gas, because you're not looking to make mass Banes, you just want to have the ability to make Banes defensively if you need to, which is totally fine. If you started a Bane Nest after you made Zergling speed, his Bane Nest is going to be on par with yours, because there's no reason why his build is faster than yours, because you're comparing your build to his build, and if you guys both went hatchery first, you guys are on point with each other the whole way through. So if this guy decided to attack you and he started making Banes, you would be able to also start making Banes at the exact same time. if your build is appropriate, right? If it's not like for whatever reason you just have 300 gas in the bank and you're like, wait, I forgot a Bane Nest, and then obviously that's a discrepancy. But the scout is telling you nothing is the main thing I'm trying to say here. It gives you no info that you didn't already know. And then if this dies, again, two problems is it supply blocks you, and then it also loses your fucking scouting, which is humongous. That's humongous things you need to understand in ZVZ. And now you're getting attacked again, and you're getting attacked by 14 lings, and you did see it with like a Zergling, I think, a second ago. But that, like right here, your 2 lings that crossed randomly on the right side of the map, they actually managed to get caught right here. Back it up like 2 seconds. I want to see like right when it happens. So you're crossing a flood, essentially. This is a fucking flood. And you don't know that it's happening until these lings died. Because your Overlord sacked itself, and you threw away all aspects of vision here. So if you look at your production tab, let's see how you respond to this. And you're also making a Roachhorn and a Bane Nest and an Evo Chamber really early. This is way too fucking much on your economy, way too fast. In ZVZ, we'll come back. We'll revisit this in just a second. This is a bigger problem right here that I'm seeing right now. In ZVZ, you need to pick and choose your opener. If you're going to open roaches, you're opening roaches. If you're going to open banelings, you're opening banelings. You need to pick one and use one. Basically, this is the best form of logic that makes this really easy to understand, and this is very applicable to what you should be doing. If you're going to choose roaches as an opener or banelings, you don't add on the other until this space is fully at least almost fully saturated. We're talking at least like 12 drones or more on the mineral line. You do not add on the other until that mineral line has like around 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Because if you do add on both right now, your build is going to have so much problem with its development. Like, you're stunting your build like crazy here. This is way too fucking expensive to afford right now. And like the difference is like, okay, it'd be like this. If you just only open Zergling if you only open a Baneling Nest, your army could be like a bunch of lings and like 8 banelings or like 6 banelings. And when I say a bunch of lings, I mean like 30 lings or something like that. And if like a fight were to break out, that's a lot of units, right? But now if you add on the Roachhorn, it'll be like, okay, instead of having like 30 lings and 8 banes, now you might only have like 8 lings, 4 banes, and like 3 roaches. It's like it's just too fucking expensive at this point in the game. And then you could say the same thing if you just only opened Roachhorn and no Bane Nest. Your army could be like 16 lings and like 6 roaches, or like 8 roaches with Zergling speed. But if you now, if instead of having like 6 roaches with like 16 lings or something like that, now it would be something like, okay, now you have again like 8 lings, 3 roaches, and like 4 banes. Or it would just be, it fucks over everything like crazy, because these buildings are so expensive so early, and you also you're sacrificing multiple drones of your economy at this point in the game when you don't have a lot to maintain upkeep of them, of like what you're going to make out of these things. Because one of the biggest things to understand too is this building is very mineral intensive, super mineral intensive. This building is super gas intensive. And the reason why I say that is because a Baneling and a Roach have the same cost, okay? But the difference is a Baneling costs half of a supply, a Roach costs 2 supply. So what this building does, if you utilize it, is you need to pump Overlords like a madman to make Roachhorn work properly. You can't just have one Overlord supply a bunch of Roaches and Lings. But you can have one Overlord supply a bunch of Lings and Banes. This can supply 16 units per Overlord. You could have 16 Banelings if you wanted to per Overlord. You can have 4 Roaches. Or like 3 Roaches and 2 Lings. Or sorry, 3 Roaches and 4 Lings. Like you're gonna need to make Overlords way fucking quicker with the Roachhorn. So your minerals need to be like dipped into way harder, because Overlords are fucking expensive in the early game. So yeah, it's just these together just doesn't really synergize very well until you can afford it, which is when you have again your second mineral line.
In this game, I remember he came at me with the mutas, and I kept trying to figure out why he was able to afford them and I wasn't. And the reason is because in the early game, I hamstrung myself from 2 different angles by going with a mineral intense Roachhorn and a gas intense Bane Nest. Therefore, can't afford the mutas later on.
That is not an incorrect conclusion. That is actually part of it. But I would say so You're not wrong, okay? I want you to know you're not wrong. But that is only, so far what I've seen, like 5% of it. Like, there's so many other things that are more important than that, but this is still relevant to talk about. Like if we're talking about the whole game up to mutas, is essentially what I mean. Like, the biggest thing you're hamstringing yourself with is you're not spinning your larva. That is the biggest one. That's like 50% of it right there. This fucks you over a bit. Like, this is another hamstring, for sure. This is a major hamstring right here. You just don't spin your larva very much. You always have a ton of larva there. Again, you're not doing it enough. And then another one that's fucking you over is you have overreactions to lack of knowledge of what's coming at you. Because as you can see, like, let's just watch what happens here. So you don't see what's coming until very late. And now that it's coming at you, you're fucked because you're supply blocked, right? Because your Overlord died. And then you didn't make any more in the preparation for it dying. And you're also potentially going to lose your other Overlord over here because it's scouting again and it doesn't need to. So this is scary as fuck for you because it also might die. So you're in, this is like between a rock and a hard place. You're like, fuck, I'm getting attacked by a lot of lings and I can't make anything. And then now he attacks you, and let's see the damage you incur. So you did have a couple lings from earlier on that you made. The 6 lings you made earlier on, they just kind of were defensive anyways, and now you made 3 Banes out of them. He shows up at your base. Just take a look at your larva really fast. You got a lot of larva sitting there. So does he. And that's why I say if either player, this is why I always say if you learn how to macro properly, you just get out of platinum immediately, because no one is macroing right now. You're both having a fuckload of larvae just sitting there, which is rough for both of you. Let's watch production though. Okay, you've now, this is another hamstring right here. You've now made 6 roaches, right? This is a humongous reaction. This is basically like, it'd be like saying, let's say your wife is like, oh my god, there's a spider, and you're like, get the fucking flamethrower. Get it. Like, we're gonna get the grenade. We're gonna fuck this spider up. Like, it's just too much. And now you're bailing some over here. The problem's dealt with, right? Problem solved. At the moment, at least. And now you have 6 roaches that are chilling again, and it's just too much. And and now you're starting to make drones again. And if this guy was to flood you lings, then I'd be like, yeah, cool, like making roaches is acceptable because he's flooding you. But if he's not flooding you, what if this guy actually just did that one attack and he was currently droning up a 3rd base? He's got a 3rd base with 3 queens pumping, like, and he has no gas because he didn't even make any banelings with that. So it was just lings. So what if he mined only for Zergling speed, took a 3rd base, and then was making mass drones right now, and you're over here making roaches blind, being like, I hope you attack again because I made roaches and I need to use them. Otherwise, I'm super far behind in drones. That's what would happen to you as you grow as a player. That's another hamstring. Because right now, I'm dead serious. With the opener your opponent just did, right now, if he was actually droning behind this, like an efficient type of build, he could have like 35 drones right now, and he could be going up to like 40 soon, or like 50 soon. Like making like drones out of 3 hatcheries being injected with 3 queens. And then he could turn this into whatever he wants to off of like 60 drones eventually, or like 66 drones with 3 base full saturation. And then he could go roaches and just make roaches at a way faster pace than you could. So your lack of vision of a whole map here is you're playing a blind game essentially, and you're crossing your fingers hoping that the decisions that you make pay off. And this is not the way to play ZVZ. Like you'll learn this over time. Like playing ZVZ like this is literally a coin flip. And then he and now you're right here too, right? So there's it's another form of a reaction here where he attacks you. You're making 2 spines right now. You're making lings. And you're making, sorry, go back to the fucking lings when they were here. This is what was relevant. So right now you're making drones. And he shows up attacking your base now. And now you go, oh, panic mode, panic. And there's 2 problems with this philosophy of ZVZ. The first one is if you didn't have enough already there, making units as he's in your base only means that your drones are going to die most of the time. Like, it's already too late. Like, these units could have been responded to, again, when they were here, which gives you all that time to make your own units as he crosses the map, as opposed to when he's already in your base and he could already be killing your drones. So that is scary as fuck for your future developing ZVZ gameplay. So this is, you know, obviously you would want to, if you're going to make units to respond to this, you would have wanted to have made them like 15 seconds ago, with Overlord scouts. And then secondly, the other problem with this is that, again, if you have no scout, you don't know if there's reinforcing. So you're taking, again, you're just reacting by or you're reacting to an attack by going, okay, make tons of units myself. I hear units are under attack, we make lots of units. Whatever larva I have, all units. And you just spent a lot, you know, whatever, a decent amount. No, you didn't spend all of it. And again, this is another problem, right? You have a bunch of larvae still sitting there. You just made 6 lings, and you still had 5 larvae sitting there. That's brutal for you. That's too much larvae sitting there. But you're only making units as reactions to you getting attacked in your face. This is I keep repeating myself because this is the biggest problem you're going to keep having over and over and over and over. This is going to kill you so many times. And these spines. So these spines it's kind of like doing double tech with no economy. Now you're making double spine and a layer. Okay, this is probably the best thing I can tell you. This might not be something you want to hear, unfortunately, but it's something that there's too many things to talk about, and I'm trying to be as honest as I can with you. The best thing you could do for yourself and to fix your overall gameplay would be to genuinely use the B2GM platinum build for a little while, get used to it, and then once you feel really confident with it, and let's say you actually get really close to getting to diamond, or you actually make diamond with it, which is very easy to do, it's very realistic, then use the diamond level of my speedling builds if I ever do speedling builds, and I'm pretty sure I do diamond speedling builds in ZVZ. Because what your build is right now is, if we're at 4 minutes and 45 seconds, okay? And I'm gonna tell you right now, if I were to put a number above your hatchery to tell you how far behind your build is in terms of time, your build is like about 90 seconds behind right now. Or maybe like almost 2 minutes behind right now. You're doing way too many things to fuck your economy up. You're not injecting. You're not spinning your larva, because your queens keep dying, right? You're not spinning your larva. And you're making way too much that you can't afford. And you're overreacting every time. And you're having no vision as you're having panic situations because you have no awareness of what's going on the map right now. So, like, you have triple evos as well right now. Like, it's just so much that is basically. Yeah, no, it'd be like this. Let's say you have a kid and you're like, I'm gonna give this kid whatever he wants, and I have a job that pays me $50,000 a year, but my kid, and we have to live, right? But my kid wants me to spend $60,000 just on like stuff that he wants to do for fun. And how the fuck are we gonna pay our bills and pay for food and pay all these things? Like this is what you're doing with your build, is you want so much and you can't afford any of it. That's a weird analogy, but you get the point. It's it's just you can't afford any of this.
So I got it pulled up on YouTube here. You got Zerg GM 2021 Platinum 1 to Diamond 3.
Yeah.
Since I'm in Plat 2, you know, obviously with focusing on the scouting and the larvae usage, just watch this video and just adhere to that as much as possible.
I would 100% recommend you do that. And the only reason why I'm saying that to you is because this is like a crash course, right? Like what I'm seeing out of your gameplay, and in the hour that we're talking here, what I'm seeing out of your gameplay is I'm watching it and I go problem, and I'm trying to address as many as I can. But I'm telling you right now, if you actually want to make Diamond League, every single Diamond League player, if you go into Diamond playing like this, you are going to get slapped every time by the average Diamond player. And I honestly think that if you look at B2GM, it's going to be a more thorough, because it's so much more content. It's like 10, 20, 30 hours of things you could watch if you have time to do that. If you listen to like a podcast or whatever, there's so much more like attention to detail that can happen there with a slower format to like really adhere to. So if I were to give you the best course of action to like grow as a player, I would say this: you should actually watch that series in like Platinum, just to like get an idea about like how to. You could even, I'm not even kidding, dude. Don't take offense to this. A lot of people do. It's people have egos in StarCraft. Honestly, yeah. I would say even watch Bronze. Watch a couple Silver games. Watch a couple Gold games.
Doing the same thing too. Just start.
Yeah.
I think I did it from like Bronze to like Gold, and then obviously made it to Gold. Then I stopped watching the videos, and now here I am. You know.
Yeah. It helps a lot because it breaks everything I'm saying. Everything I'm saying right now is exactly what I say in those videos. It's just a sped up version of it. And I would, if you want the best outcome of growing yourself as a player, I would say don't just only watch BetaGM. I'd say maybe watch like maybe like 3 hours of BetaGM or something like that. Maybe watch a few games of BetaGM and like really like be like, oh, okay, holy fuck, like that's very clean and very smooth. I can do that. That's not that hard. And then come back and listen to this again, the coaching lesson we just did. Like bookmark it in your browser or something like that, and then just listen to it, and you'll hear me talk about things that are relevant to you, and then listen to like another BetaGM segment for like, you know, over time, and then try to implement cleaner macro into your gameplay. And the biggest problem you have, which you'll hear me talk about a lot in BetaGM, is your larva. Again, as you were talking about earlier, when you were talking about the Roachhorn and the Baneling Nest hamstringing you to like mutas, it's really just it's everything. It's mostly your larva, but it is everything. There's so many things here that are fucking over your larva. Now let's speed it up really fast, because your game is, for lack of a better word, your game is totally fucked right now. For this game specifically, everything is super behind. Because like here's an example. We'll just pause it for 2 seconds and say this really fast. At 6 minutes, on average, you should already be saturating a third base, pretty much like fully saturated. So you're not even fully saturated at 2 bases yet. And you should already have a third base by now being like fully saturated, more or less. And then you should already be making, like, this is when, if you're doing BetaGM style, you'd already be going into like your hydras with your roaches and just cranking out hydra. And you could be maxed out by like 8 minutes and 30 seconds. Now let's go to 8:30 and let's see where you're at. Or like 8:40, 8:50. Like 8:30 is very real if you have decent macro. But I know I'm kind of fair with people in BetaGM. I tell you to max out like 9 minutes usually. You could be maxed out right now on Roach Hydra if you had a cleaner opener. And again, you're just now like starting your third base at 8:30. Your third base should have been started like by 4:30 or like 4 minutes. So this, like, neither one of you is macroing the greatest. It's just a problem of players playing more panicky and not playing, you know, confident enough and clean enough in their gameplay, and that comes from experience, 100%. I'm not trying to, you know, judge here. Everyone has this problem. This is the problem of everybody in Platinum or below, and it's just gonna slow your gameplay down like crazy. Which is why, as we can see, the first player in this game between the two of you, that is, no one is even maxed yet, but your opponent is the closest right now. At almost 11 minutes in the game, he's almost 200 supply. He's 17 supply below. And then now you guys are going to have a big battle here, and there's a lot of things are going to die. And then now you're in a situation where you only have, you know, he just had way more roaches than you in that fight. And you have 6 mutas trying to kill upgraded. Yeah, these are 6 0-weapon upgraded mutas trying to kill armor upgraded roaches, and there's a fuckload of them. So you can run your base over now, if you wanted to. So it's rough, right? And here's a cool thing as well. This is kind of a flashy thing. I'm gonna give you a piece of information now. It's kind of cool to understand this. It's way above Platinum. This is like even above Masters. This is like a GM level piece of knowledge, but it's something that who knows, maybe you tell your friends this and you're like, hey, don't I know a lot about StarCraft? Look at the roaches right now. They have no crystals on their head. They don't have these like neon rave crystals on their head. They're just dark. Yeah, exactly. They don't have Burrow Move. Well, they could have Burrow, but Burrow Move is the upgrade that gives them the crystals on their head. And then you can see the roaches in a second here. They're going to evolve with the crystallization. Which is, when is it exactly happening so I don't skip it? So it's in 7 seconds, so let's get a little closer to it. Okay, it's like 3 seconds now. Now right here, he's got no crystals on his head, and then suddenly, if we watch the roaches, they're going to be very, very vibrantly colored in a second now. And here we go. Now they're super vibrant on their heads. And the second you see that, the perfect response to this is to get a couple of Overseers, or maybe spread out a couple of Spore Crawlers, and also get Overlord's speed. That way you cannot be kited by burrow roaches running around your base like all day. This is way advanced though. Again, it's a much more advanced technique. Like if you have like a guy saying 3 roaches, 3 roaches, 3 roaches, 3 roaches, and he's got like a bunch more roaches over here. Super advanced. Not something you're going to see in Plat a lot. And you can see this guy's not even using it either. He just runs away, burrows, and comes back. And then he just comes right back. And now you can also, here's another cool technique you can see too. Stare, I want you to stare at the screen right here. Just stare at the screen right here. And it's really obvious to notice this if you know what to look for. And trust me, you'll know what to look for when you see this. I'm not even going to have to tell you what to look for. You'll see it. Just stare at the green box. Stare at that green box. Or, hold on, I gotta slow the game. You see it, obviously. It's like big fucking mist. I didn't even have the speed on.
A little hard to hide there, right?
Yeah. But you'd be like, all right, hey, roaches, where'd you go? And then suddenly, again, you see it, right? You're just like, and here they come. This big-ass cloud of darkness just going to your base. And each roach obviously makes a little bit of that cloud. But yeah.
I'll definitely give it a month, probably book another session with you, see how far I can go. You know, just watching the Beta GM stuff, but this was tremendously helpful, sir.
I would, this is, so I know I gave you the homework assignment earlier of watching Beta GM and then coming back to this and reference this coaching lesson a couple times, because there is information here that will remind you what your problems are, like specifically for you. But I would say the best thing you can do for yourself, if you want, I'm going to link it to you right now, okay? Because this is something that you should start the process off with, and this will expedite your process of getting better, of like, you know, finding improvement. 1 second, I almost got it. And I'll just show the video as well to the stream so they can see what I'm talking about. It's this video right here. It's literally Welcome to Beta GM Series 2021. And what I want you to do is I want you to look at the second part of this video. You can watch the whole thing if you want to, honestly. It's going to have relevant things to talk about. You might not be doing the things in the early part of the video, too. We're talking about your keyboard setup and mouse setup and shit like that. Definitely helps play StarCraft easier. But this is the thing I'm going to talk about right here that I want you to listen to and really, like, take note of. And it's the Notepad Trick. I call it the Notepad Trick. And what it does is you can see I'm referencing... and again, I'll give you... If you listen to it, this video, you'll get a full explanation of it. But you can literally just go to YouTube and type in Welcome to Beta GM. Type that right in the highlighted text and you get it. Anyone who's watching this video, and you use these timers, and what it does is it gives you a reference in the game of the clock rather than just guessing. Oh, I think I might be doing okay right now, or I might not be. I'm not sure. And you're gonna trust me. Once you go through the process a few times, like after your third time or fourth time doing the Notepad Trick, you're gonna be like, holy fuck! Go back and literally save this replay yourself. Go back and watch this game again. And you'll be like, what the fuck? How am I like 4 minutes ahead of my build before? Like, how am I 3 minutes ahead? Like, what was I doing? You're just, it's going to blow your mind. Because, again, speaking from experience of someone who obviously played StarCraft to a point where I can macro my larva more, like, efficient. Watching this, you can do it too. It's not hard. It just means there's, like, something missing for you right now. It's just that one piece hasn't clicked yet. And once it does, everything opens up to you in such a new way, and you're gonna be like, holy shit, like I didn't realize how off my macro was because I didn't understand it before, and now I completely understand, and it's way cleaner, and you're gonna be like, wow, I'm winning so many games now, and you will find yourself getting to like diamond super fast. The Notepad Trick is such an easy way to actually, it's like getting a test result. You're like, wow, I didn't realize I was getting Fs when I should have been getting, I thought I was getting A's.
Did you message it to me or did you email it?
I'll send it to you. I can't send it to you yet because I'm doing a private share screen with you in Discord. But as soon as it's over, I'll just link it to you.
Oh, okay.
But for people watching this on YouTube right now because they're watching the coaching VOD, just literally type that in YouTube. You like go to YouTube, copy paste that right there, or you know you can go to YouTube and type it yourself. And you're like, cool, I want to type that in. Vibe said, welcome to Beta GM 2021. That's the fucking first video you're gonna get. You click it, and that's exactly what it takes you to. Easy peasy. It's literally the first video in all my Beta GM series videos, so it's right there. But anyways, do you have any final questions about anything we talked about? Skaboodle?
Not really. That was awesome, man. That's what I love about StarCraft. It's just so, 10 years later, it's still so complicated that it just, it makes for such a great game, I think.
I'll tell you right now. I've been playing RTS since the year like 1996, 1995. And I still learn shit in RTS daily. Like, the game is ever changing, ever evolving. And the things that I'm learning nowadays is obviously very, 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 like, abstract, fringe. It's like, oh, if I actually do a secondary Nidus Worm with my infestors, and I neural parasite a battlecruiser, and then I teleport it to my corruptors, I can then go through the Nidus Worm back where they teleport to, where my corruptors are, and then re-come out of that and re-Nidus them, or re-neural them out of the second Nidus, and then I can kill them easier. It's like, okay, holy fuck, that's like, what? But, like, yeah, everybody's learning something daily at this game, because there's always, like, ways you can make something a little bit better than what you did before. You can always alter it a little bit more efficient than what you're already doing in every way. Like, even like Cyril and people like pro gamers are like, okay, if I alter this way, I can actually make this better. It never stops changing. It's always getting more and more advanced as people try to like break builds and shit like that. So it never ends. You're always gonna learn something. But yeah, dude, much love. I appreciate it.
Heck yeah, man. Well, I literally wrote 2 pages worth of notes, so I'll definitely be in touch. And thanks for the session; it was extremely helpful.
Yeah, no worries, dude. And the final thing to throw out there would be, I'll have this VOD of everything we just talked about. I'll edit it, I'll upload it to YouTube, and I'll post you the link of that as well by probably like tomorrow. So you can always, you can always come back and like check it out again in the future if you want to listen to it a few more times.
Excellent, thank you.
All right, have a good rest of your day, dude.
Really?
All right, take it easy, man. All right, guys, and then I'll link him that. Or shit, whoops. Or 1 second. Sorry, I'm linking him I'll just link him after this. I'll edit on the video now. Guys, thanks for watching. Much love. I appreciate you guys hanging out, and I hope you guys learned something. I hope you found anything we talked about today informative. And yeah, good luck in your own games. Hopefully this helps you, and I'll see you guys in the next video, whatever it might be that you want to watch. Till next time, peace, guys. Much love, and see ya.